Welcome to Q&A number 18. I'm Dan Staten. This is where I attempt to answer basically subscriber questions off the YouTube channel as it pertains to elk hunting, generally public land, generally archery, but I'm not an expert. I've just bow hunted elk for over a decade and made a lot of mistakes, and then I hit a streak of awesome success, and I want to share what I've done right, what I've learned wrong. And today is sponsored by the one and only Hoyt Archery. I've been with them for over a decade. I shoot Hoyt exclusively. I have no interest in shooting any other bow. Hoyts are really tough and dependable, and I beat them up pretty good, and they still shoot straight, so I'm a Hoyt guy for life. So thank you, Hoyt Archery, for making this possible. If you have a question, you can send it to elkshape@gmail.com. That's elkshape@gmail.com. Make sure you put your name and address. I'll send you a decal at the very minimum for your question if it gets used here. It's been a while, so I have quite a few to go through. We're going to hammer them out real quick and see if we can get going. It is June. Elk hunting is just around the corner. Your preparation is at all-time critical. Elk Shape obviously is about physical and mental conditioning and doing everything in your power each and every day to make yourself the best version of yourself. So come fall, you're ready to, in my opinion, make it happen. Your job out there is to manufacture luck, and in my experience it comes from hard work in the off season, and especially leading in the preseason. This is critical time to do your scouting, to learn your mountains, learn your roads, learn your trails, do your cyber scouting, put your cameras out, make sure that you are proficient with your weapon, and that you have a good plan put together for whatever tags that you might have, whether it be special or over the counter. First question is from Jacob Peterson. He would like to know, he said that he noticed that I use shuttle T-lock broadheads as well as slick tricks before. Do I have advice as to what the best broadhead is to use? And then do I sharpen my own broadheads or just replace them? Alright, Jacob, I do not sharpen broadheads. I just shoot brand new ones on every hunt or replace the blades with brand new ones. I try to shoot broadheads from June, July, August on. I don't really shoot a lot of field points, so I don't go to the archery range and shoot their field point targets. I shoot my own block targets, and I go through a couple a year just from putting broadhead into them. Also, I have a 3D target that I shoot broadheads with, but it's broadheads from here on out, and it's making sure if I do shoot field points, it's just to kind of check tune. Tuning is very, very, very important when it comes to broadheads. That's why I'm a believer in fixed broadheads and not taking the low road, in my opinion, of just slapping on a mechanical for elk, because yes, you don't have to tune as much. It's you just don't have to be as detailed, but I don't think mechanicals get the job done on elk, in my experience. And I'm sure everyone else out there might have their own 2 cents, but look, if you work as hard as I do to get that one-shot opportunity, I want a fixed broadhead going through that animal. So I do not shoot shuttle T's anymore. Dan Evans of Trophy Taker, or formerly sold Trophy Taker, and with that was shuttle T broadheads. So Dan's now just doing option archery, which is an awesome, the Quivalizer and their sights, the option, it's great. But for me, losing him as a contact in that relationship, I was in search of a new broadhead company, and I went with Grim Reaper out of Utah. They're mostly known for their mechanicals, but believe it or not, they make really amazing fixed broadheads. And the ones I'm shooting, I have 2 of theirs. It's their Micro Hades series. They have a 3-blade and a 4-blade. Now I will use the 4-blade in Idaho elk. All my shots are usually 20-30 yards, and they're just less susceptible for air. Now on longer targets, if I do get a pronghorn tag or a mule deer tag, I'm going to go with the 3-blade. It's just going to give me that much more forgiveness at a longer range. But I like those broadheads a lot. In fact, I just shot a spring bear in Idaho with the 4-blade. I shot him quartering away, and the blood trail was amazing. You can check that video out on the YouTube channel. And it wasn't a perfect shot, and that bear died, and that broadhead did its job. So hope that answers your question. That's what I'm going with. Find what works best for you. Next question. This is from Travis McDonald. He said he did a 14-mile shed hunt in a brand new pair of crispy boots. That's dangerous. I know you're trying to break them in, but any brand new pair of boots, you usually want to wear them around the house for a week, maybe do a short day hike. But a 14-mile shed hunt excursion, left him with some Achilles tendonitis as diagnosed by his physician. Obviously, he was in pretty bad pain because the doctor gave him cortisone shots, which helped temporarily, like they always do, and then they wear off. And he wanted to know if I have any experience with that, if there's anything he should or should not be doing. Obviously, he said he's been icing and stretching, doing 60-second heel drops on a stair twice a day. I think you got to keep that up for sure. I also think that you really have to limit your explosive movements with the Achilles complex. Watch out for acceleration, deceleration, that's taking off and landing. Really, like sprinting is probably out of question. Do not do that, or jumping during training. Really low impact stuff. Still pack with load on your back, and continue to stretch daily. Be extremely diligent on lengthening the Achilles complex. The last thing you want to do is have micro tears, which could lead to a big tear, which could lead to surgery, which, I don't look up Achilles recovery time. You're looking at a minimum of 6 months, and probably will never be the same as it was before. So you better nurse that real close. Avoid all the explosive movements and impact, and continue to stretch and be diligent. So hope that helps. That was fast. This one's from Tyler Hunwell. He's 30 years old. He lives in New Hampshire. He tore his ACL, PCL, LCL, meniscus, popliteal tendon. He tore everything at his knee. And then he discovered in recovery bow hunting, and it saved his life along with his faith. And now he wants to know if I could point him in a direction as far as a workout or exercises to take his hunting to the next level. Look, maybe it's not that obvious, but I blog once a week, every week on elkshape.com, and I have so consistently for a couple years now, and I just post what I do for workouts. And if you really wanted to figure out what I was doing, you'd have to probably Google search some of the movements, some of the CrossFit lingo term, but I do a mix of strength and conditioning and CrossFit, and I train 4 or 5 days a week, and it's all out there free for anyone to check out. Also, I have a book, an ebook that you can pick up off the website. It's called Train to Hunt, and it's about basically making yourself physically and mentally stronger. And I have a whole program in there as well, and you can download that PDF. Those are free. You know, one of those is a free resource. Check that out. Find out what I'm doing, because whatever I'm doing, I feel like it works. When I packed that bear out a few weeks ago, it was out of a hellhole, and I was reminded of how hard it is packing an animal out. It's really hard. I mean, we're talking 10 steps and stopping, panting, and I'm in great shape. But just the strength in my connective soft tissue and the durability of my core and spine and stabilizers was there, and I could pack out. That pack was 80 pounds. I had a hide, I had meat, I had all my gear and camera gear, and I didn't get back to the cabin until 1 in the morning, but I just didn't hurt the next day. And so if I had an elk tag, a second elk tag, I'd be ready to go the next day. Or if I helped my dad pack his elk out all day, I don't have to take a day off. I'm back at it, and time is precious when it comes to elk hunting, especially there's finite number of days, hours in September, and you don't want to take a rest day. So get your ass in shape. I think one of the best workout programs out there is what I'm doing, because it's working. And it's not for everybody, but find what works for you and check out those resources that I mentioned. This next question is from Cody Peterson. He wants to know if I've ever personally hunted or killed spike elk exclusively. He hunts in Utah. He's obviously going to hunt in an area that's spike only. I'm assuming it's archery. So, Cody, I've never set out to kill spikes. I generally pass on several spikes a year. I've killed 2 spikes in my lifetime, and it was just because it was a first come, first served type situation where I hunt in Idaho, I hunt with 2 tags in my pocket, and my freezer's empty every September. So if a spike presents a good shot, I'll take it. And in that instance, that was like 2013-ish, I had just missed a herd bull. I shot over him twice, and base of my bow sight had been bumped, and I took those 2 arrows, found them, and shot right in the woods in a stump, and had Allen's, and I resighted my bow right in the field, and I kid you not, I went like over one more ridge and called in a spike. And I was like, you know what? God gave me an opportunity at that herd bull. I messed that up. I'm not passing on meat. My wife will kill me. And I smoked that spike. And then the other spike I've killed before actually had a really good bugle for a spike, and I shot him in some thick brush and found out he was a spike. I thought he was like a rag, but he ended up being a spike. But I never set out to kill spikes. I like to pass spikes as much as possible. If I wanted to hunt them in particular, I don't know about everywhere I've been, but most of the time, in my experience, there's this flow of where spikes are kind of with the cows, and then the herd bulls move in, and then I think the herd bulls try to put up with the spikes, and then eventually they just have had enough of their shit and they kick the spikes out, and then you'll start seeing spikes in groups mid-September-ish where they've been kicked out of the herd. And that's kind of when you want to kill those spikes, is be able to cow call them in. They're excited, they're new to the rut, they're very curious, they're very they're not call shy, they're the opposite of call shy. And I feel like you could probably, vocalization would be your best opportunity to kill a spike. And every state's a little different. Like in Washington, you have to kill a true spike, you know, and so you just have to know your game regs. But I do think there's a pecking order, and I do think most spikes get kicked out of herds. Now, I've seen big herds where there is spikes with a herd bull or a couple herd bulls, and that stuff's, you know, the exception to the rule. Generally speaking, spikes are not allowed to be with a bull after a few days. He's just had enough of them and kicks them out. So vocalization, soft cow calls, mews, maybe even a spike bugle back should gain their interest. This one's from Brad. I don't know your last name. I think Brad works for Black Diamond in Utah, and he is going to be hunting in Utah. His season's the 19th through the 15th. I think it's do-it-yourself elk hunting. I think he's new to archery, and he's got a couple of questions that I wanted to answer. He was talking about the opening week is a new moon cycle, which does fit his schedule better. If you want to know if I had any experience on the effective moon, and yeah, I have. And I think a new moon is one of the best times to hunt. I know that full moon, stand by. Call you back, Mark. That's Mark Boardman, Vortex Optics. Mark, I'm sorry, but we're doing Q&A. I'll call you right back, bud. We're talking moon cycles. I don't think the moon cycle would affect, if I had to hunt during a full moon, I would. It's better than not hunting, but I prefer a new moon. But really, it depends on if it's in the middle of the rut. I think the elk are gonna just, I mean, it could affect the elk. They could rut all night and then be already in bed by the time you're getting your butt on the ridge line. And that's happened, but I don't center my hunt around moon phases. But in your instance, opening could be good. You are hunting public land. A lot of times opening day, especially rifle, but opening days can get really crowded, and so maybe it's sometimes to let opening day or even the first week, if you have a long season like you do, let everybody wear themselves out, pester the elk, get the elk pushed to where they need to push, unless there's private. If they get pushed onto private, then you're in trouble. But if you're a expanse land of public land, and maybe the first week is just going to be a cluster with hunters and pressure, maybe just wait and secure your vacation for the following week, and then go into those hard to reach places and find those elk. But if it puts you in a bad moon cycle, I mean, yeah, I can see how, I don't know. To answer your question is, I don't know about moons. I can't, I know there's been books written about hunting, and I do think it has something to say about moon cycles. Let me give you this tip with moons, and this is something Jim Burnworth, Western Extreme, him and I, we've talked about this at length, and we both have agreed that on your GPS, almost all of them have that little app that will tell you the best time of day to hunt, peak time of day, and it's all based on moon phase. And they'll tell you the good times. But a lot of those, if you were to hunt your butt off during all those peak times, and a lot of them they're like at 11 o'clock in the morning and at 2 o'clock in the afternoon are going to be peak times for animal movement. I think if you hunted every day of the hunt and really hunted hard those key little 1 hour windows, I think over the course of 7 days you would increase your odds of success by a few percentile, because those moon phases dictate when animals get up, stretch, feed, and I think there's something to be said about that, and Jim would agree with me on that. We've talked about that. But moon phase stuff is tricky, but you know, where you're hunting in August, it's going to be really early, it's going to be really hot. You know, August 19th, most bulls have shed their velvet, but a lot of them still haven't. And you're going on public land. So hope I answered your question. And basically, I would say, man, maybe take the second week off, let the hunting pressure go, because everybody's pent up, ready to get out and get after it that first week, especially in Utah. Almost everybody's a bow hunter, so that would be my guess. And that's something for all you other public land hunter out there, is if you're, you know, if rifle hunter, whatever, a lot of times the best days to hunt is not during weekends. And a lot of times if you are stuck hunting weekends, it's that very, like, Saturday morning is your best bet, because after Saturday morning the elk are going to just get pressured and moved. So Ty, the first thing is freezer inventory. Obviously I'm a meat hunter first. We live off elk meat, and that's the name of the game. Is, I mean, antlers are cool, but we want the meat in the freezer. That's the number one. So need a killable every year for the meat. My next is, I generally hunt over the counter because I don't draw that much. The draw systems that I work with, I have a lot of points. I'm really holding out for a good Wyoming tag. I'm just one under max. I like hunting Arizona, but I think I have a better chance of hunting it once every 5 years. Late season, it's not an easy hunt, but so I try to do that. With New Mexico, it's just pure luck, lottery. Everyone's got the same chance. I would love to hunt New Mexico every year, and I will not buy a landowner tag because I have kids, and that's just not responsible for me in my situation to go buy a landowner tag. Montana is always a good option, backup plan for over-the-counter stuff. Colorado, I have probably too many points. I need to burn those very soon and get into, you know, I'm in that point creep where I don't have max points in Colorado, so I'm not going to hunt the northwest corner like my dream. So I probably need to settle in on a pretty good area and hunt it where I can get a, you know, a draw mule deer tag and a draw good bull elk hunt in the same wilderness. That's kind of probably on my radar for next season. Nevada, just holding for hope to draw a Nevada bull or a Utah bull. So usually I'm left with my home state, Washington, which I hardly don't hunt. The hunting's not that great here. So I usually go to Idaho for over-the-counter action, or Montana, or all three. And my first bull is usually just a meat bull. I want to kill a branched antler bull because they're bigger body and they're young and they're tender and delicious. After that, can get a little picky, maybe start passing, but I always want to kill a herd bull. Always want to. It's just really hard to do, but in my mindset, that's what I'm looking for. If I was hunting like a prime rut tag in New Mexico, I'd be looking for something, especially like in the Gila, for 330 or better. In Idaho, I'm looking for a meat bull, and then hopefully to find something around 300, which is awesome on public land. And if in Montana, probably the same deal. 300 or better would be great. Would I pass a 290 bull? Probably not. I just love killing elk. So I talked about my tag strategy. I told you I'm kind of like trying to get some premium hunts, like in Utah, Nevada, maybe Arizona late season, or I haven't drawn New Mexico in 10 years, and it's bumming me out. But I need to go to Colorado. It's time. I have too many points. I need to do that. And so, yeah, I play the game, and I really like hunting elk. I need to be hunting elk. I have good backup over-the-counter areas. Have you ever gotten drawn for 2 hunts that land in the same window? If not, how would I treat the situation? Yeah, I drew a mountain goat tag last year, and it was opening September 12th, which I'd rather be elk hunting. So what I elk hunted a few days before that tag opened, drove down, scouted 2 days before the tag opened in Utah. So I burned 2 beautiful days of September scouting for mountain goat, but I mean, that's once a lifetime tag. I smoked the goat on day 1. Check that video out if you haven't. And then packed that camp up, packed the goat out, and drove back to Idaho and killed a bull 2 days later. So yes, it's just I would have loved to hunt mountain goats and been a little more picky, but really I just wanted to shoot one, say I did it, experience it, and get back to elk hunting, which is my passion. So if I had 2 awesome bull tags, I would probably choose whichever area was better for trophy potential and more wilderness, because when I'm elk hunting, I just don't want to see people, I want to see elk. And I would probably go there first, and then if I did well, go to the other place. But I would just choose the better scenario for me, which what I'm looking for experience wise is backcountry, remote, big bulls that aren't pressured, that want to talk, and beautiful country. So tips on traveling home with meat. Yes, I did finally invest in a Yeti cooler. It's a 160. It's huge. If I hunt hot, arid, dry areas, I'm freezing 6 to 8 gallons, empty gallon jugs of milk. I'm gonna fill those up with water and freeze those, and then try not to open that Yeti cooler and leave that for meat. And then I'll have another cooler with the same situation, but with my like perishables or whatever. But if you have like a nice cooler, fill up 8 empty gallons, milk gallon jugs of water, freeze it, and don't open that cooler until you kill the bull, and then get your deboned meat in there. Make sure it's a huge cooler. I'm looking forward to getting that Yeti 160 bloody, and we'll see if it holds up to the hype. But that's what I do. I have taken my meat on a long 14-day hunt. I killed a bull in New Mexico in 2000. This year was 2006. I shot a bull, and my dad's tag was the second season, so we drove to a grocery store and paid them cash to let our meat hang and get frozen. And then it got frozen. We drove it home after he killed his bull. That's another way. Or you could just take it to a processor, or give it away. But I like the idea of just, you know, big cooler, you know, milk jugs frozen with water. So hope that helps, Ty. All right, I think this is the last question. Chris Kane, he wrote me an awesome email. I'm not going to go through it, but thanks for the awesome email, Chris. I really appreciate your feedback. This guy wants to know about his first elk hunt with a buddy in Colorado, and basically they want to know what's our realistic expectations. They're brand new, they're elk hunting virgins, and should they both buy tags? Should they attempt one guy buy a tag and they just focus on that guy, and if he's successful, get the meat out, get it to a processor, and then buy the next tag, things like that. So realistic expectations is, if you've never been to the area before, you have a steep learning curve. You don't know where the elk are at, you don't know the road systems, you don't know the hunting pressure, you don't know the weather, you don't know the water, you don't know the animal's behavior, things like that. So you're going to learn a ton about the area, how to access it, where you should base camp, where you should spike camp, maybe next year where you should have put some trail cameras and pick them up next year, where the elk want to live, where they go when they're pressured, and then once you're into elk, how to close the deal. That's like the biggest learning curve. Should you call, should you not, should you sneak in, should you be aggressive, should you be mellow, should you make soft mews, challenge, spike bugle, challenge bugle. There's just a lot to learn. I would, yeah, buy one tag, maybe draw straws, and then focus on getting that one guy a shot opportunity and learn your calling scenarios. Can you get in front of a herd? Can you get your shooter out in front? You guys are gonna have a tough time learning about the wind. The wind will make or break your hunt, and that's probably gonna be the biggest thing, is learning how to predict thermals, as well as where air will collect, where it gets problematic, benches, saddles, the airflow of the mountain, the prevailing winds of that particular area, best way to get in on the elk without, you know, you're gonna get winded a few times, maybe a lot of times, and you're gonna learn the hard way. But yeah, your expectations should be just to gain knowledge, gain experience, chalk it up as the next year you'll be way more prepared. So this year going into it is a learning curve, and that if one guy gets an elk or gets a shot, that's a success. And figure out who's a better caller, be practicing your calling, and probably get your guy out in front and do some calling. I think if you really be selfless and focus on getting one guy an elk, you can always drive to town and get that second tag and get your meat out. So I hope that helps. Guys, Q&A, my inbox is free for now. We'll do another one when I get enough emails. But thanks for watching Q&A with Elk Shape, and we'll catch you on the next one.